This is Erin. I'm with 88.9. I have Taylor Rice of Local Natives here. Thanks for chatting with me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally. I'm excited to talk to you before you head to Milwaukee Summerfest coming up on July 5th. And you just released a new album, so we've got a lot to talk about. I kind of want to go back to the very, very beginning, the roots of the band. When you first start a band or a musical project, you guys have been together for so long. There's many hopes and dreams, even like fantasies for the band. What's one dream that has come true for you that, maybe you had when you first started this thing back in 2005?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you start a band, and I have been playing with my bandmates through high school and college, I think from that place, it's just like, this is my dream, and I have no idea where it's going to go. I just want to play music, and I want to play shows, and I want to write songs. And it really just starts there, and the whole thing like unravels in a way that's really like hard to predict. You just get in a van with your friends and like go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many things. I mean, I think like the main thing is just that is what we get to do. I think like we've always really loved playing live. That's such a huge part of our band and like our connection with our fans. And we've toured like a lot over the years. And, not every band loves it, I think, as much as we do, I've learned. But that's just something that really still is like so energizing. And it's just like so amazing that we get to go have that communal space and play music live in front of people. I'm very like grateful for that. That was definitely like the dream, playing in the basements and the backyards when we were in high school.
Yeah, yeah. And not every artist is like that. Not everyone feeds off that tour energy or that live space energy. So as a musician, you're lucky that you veer that way because some people have stage fright or touring exhausts them. So that's a great asset to have as a musician.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So most of you met in high school, started playing together. Did you all meet in band class or sports or what was that?
No, we grew up in Orange County, just south of LA, where we've been based like our whole kind of professional career band lives. We obviously moved to LA like right when we could. And in Orange County, the culture there, there's a lot of like beach and there's a lot of sports and it's very suburbs and other stuff going on. And the music kids really just find each other, and there was like a really thriving scene there at the time. There was like a lot of hardcore and emo, and it's like it really is like church shows and basement shows and like house parties and stuff. And yeah, the music kids just find each other for sure.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It's
Yeah.
like magic. Um, so what kinds of music were you all listening to at that age? Like when you started playing together, did you all kind of come together because you were interested in the same types of music, like, and did those things inform your own sound as a band?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a huge process starting from like I picked up guitar with Ryan. Literally, I met Ryan the first day of seventh grade, and we started playing guitar in eighth grade together. So it's been a journey. The first band we were really into is At the Drive-In, which is this like really creative, really kind of like left field guitar band. And they would just go nuts on stage too. Like their live show was really kind of crazy. That was like the first band that we were like, whoa, okay. So we were like going at that for a while. And then yeah, it kind of like changed through the years. And towards like as we started like forming what definitely would become Local Natives, we really got into a lot of the 60s harmony bands like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the Zombies, the Beach Boys. And especially CSN. Why? Because we had three singers and we loved how we were like, okay, we all want to sing. How are we going to do this? And they would sing where everyone's singing and there's not necessarily a lead all the time with the harmony. It's like that's the sound. And we were just really attracted to that. And kind of that was like a nice roadmap for us to figure out our sound. And we've just been singing together now for like 20 years. And it's really like a fun thing. That's how all our songs kind of start, is around a piano or a guitar and the three of us singing, and just see what kind of happens and playing with that.
Yeah, I wonder too if that's why you all have had such staying power because, the egos are brushed aside when you have not a lead vocalist, you have more of a collaborative vibe to your band.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe yeah, it's more of a collective thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're a very democratic band, for sure, with like less defined, roles all the way across. So it's definitely it's cool. Like there's lots of that I love about it, and also challenges too. But it's really amazing. It's an amazing way to make like music as a team.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Not every band is like that. So, yeah. So, being involved in any group is a really big commitment, especially like a long-term group. It's like a marriage of sorts. Do you see like local natives as being a lifetime project without any end? Um, is that something like you can't see like the end of, or you just don't think about it that way?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I don't know the answer to that. I don't see an end necessarily, but I also feel like I don't know what I don't know. And so, I think
Yeah.
for me, like as long as it feels vibrant and alive and like giving, like as long as it feels really special and really creative, and as long as the music feels amazing and all that feels good, then I don't see any reason why it would end. We all are, we've been doing it so long, and like we're all like starting families now, and it's a different phase. And for so long, part of our story is like right after we graduated college, we all moved into this house together, like all of us into this tiny house. And we really like, lived and breathed this band like nonstop, constantly our whole lives. And obviously it's like shifted now as you start families and stuff. But yeah, when we get together, when we get in the studio, when we get on the road, it feels really amazing. And so as long as that feels right, then I don't think there's a reason to think about an end.
Okay, well said. Okay, so I want to talk about the last album, which also piggybacks off the album before that. They're kind of a dual companion album kind of situation. But first, like the new album, But I'll Wait for You, was just released in April. Can you walk us through some of the big themes? Like what was all going down during the writing of this new record that bubbled up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of have to, unfortunately, go back to the pandemic to talk about the very beginning process of it. And for us, what was so insane about that time period is literally it's like it was the longest time period where we hadn't been together, or I hadn't played a show, like a concert, since I was 14 years old, you know, um, for so long. And so it's really obviously everybody went through that, but for us, it kind of stopped this, constant in our life in this way. And so when we got back together after that, it was just really like we had our first show back was at the Greek Theater in our hometown of Los Angeles, and it was a sold out show, and the first time everybody could come back. It was also like my son's first show that he got to see because he was born right before the pandemic. And it was just so like overwhelming and this wild experience. And so when we got back together, all of this music just started like pouring out. And I think we were more prolific kind of than we'd ever been. And so that's how this double album kind of came together. Like we made all these songs, and then we're like, gosh, we need to like, it's time to like put out an album and do this thing, but we're not done. We have to keep writing. So it was really fun. It was like it was cool. It was like the first time that we ever had a project that was kind of this ambitious and had all these themes connecting from the beginning. And so the first album is called Time Will Wait for No One. The second album is called But I'll Wait for You. And that lyric together, like that couplet is the first lyric of the first record and it's the last lyric of the last record. And all these themes kind of came out of like our time, you know, no matter what is happening, no matter what you do, time is like changing you imperceptibly and changing your life. And you really have like, you can't stop that, but you can choose kind of like what you do inside of that. That's the only control that you have. And so there's like a sadness to that and a beauty and a surrender. And a lot of it was just coming from that place across these like 20 songs that we ended up writing and recording.
Okay. That's an ambitious but thoughtful project. Yeah, just remarking on the passage of time, and the pandemic underlines all that stuff for many people, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so, like, taking on a double album basically, it seems like quite the challenge. It's challenging enough to release 1 record, let alone 2 consecutive records. Did you have any challenges when it came out to putting out kind of a massive project, I guess?
Um, it really felt more exciting to us because we've only kind of done this is like our fifth and sixth record, and our first four were very much on the same track. There would be like 1 full year of writing and recording an album, 2 full years of touring it, 1 full year, and there's like these big 3 year cycles. And so this felt great. It was so awesome to like put out a record, be playing all these new songs, and be like, we know something, which is we have a whole nother record like right around the corner.
Yeah.
And that's actually been really exciting. And so now doing these tours too, it's like we get to draw off of both records and just have so much more new music to play with. So for us, it's like a really novel experience and it's been awesome to do.
Cool, that's great, and then you also worked with, notable producer and engineer, musician John Congleton, as well as an orchestra from Budapest, which is really cool.
Yeah.
What was one of the highlights, especially of working with someone like Congleton? Like, what was your favorite Congleton moment, and what did he bring to the sound of this batch of songs?
Yeah, Congleton is such an amazing producer and he's made so many records that are just incredible. It was our first time kind of meeting and working with him. And every producer we've worked with is so different from the other ones, and it takes a minute to figure it out. And with John, what's really amazing is in the studio, sometimes it's like, let's start kind of jamming and figuring it out. And then it's just a starting point and we can like add on a million layers and mess around and be creative and like be crazy. And with John it was a little bit more like, all right, play the song, cool, all right, that's what you got, that's what's going, cool. And it took us a second to adjust because the previous producer, Sean Everett, who's another incredible um engineer and producer, he's like the polar opposite of this technique. And what it ended up doing is really like refining the song down. So we're like, okay, cool. We had to adjust to that. And the song just had to be like amazing and beautiful and work at its like most stripped basic kind of in the room. And so that was really awesome. I really like appreciated that about working with John Congleton, and a lot of the songs I think benefited so much from his approach with that.
Yeah, it sounds like he was just distilling everything down.
He would distill, but I don't want to like sell him short. Here's the other part of it. So he would do that, but then he would do this like special John Congleton sauce, and he wouldn't like tell us what he was doing, too, which is funny. And he would like make this kind of atmosphere in and around the song and do this thing that was just like so incredible, and then would be a huge identity of the song as well. So he somehow did both things. He was like, "What have you got? Distill it down. It's got to be the best it can be." And then he would put his own personal spin on it that just like, I'd have to kind of go song by song, but would make it like really magical and give it like a very unique Congleton identity as well.
Mm, okay. Yeah, yeah. The chef never talks about the sauce.
Well, usually the chef does. Like every other producer I've worked with is like, let's do this and here's what we're doing and talk you through it. And he would just like quietly do it and be like, What do you think? And we were like, yeah, that's amazing. What'd you do? He's like, don't worry about it. Just get in there. We're like, okay.
Oh yeah, maybe he's just like, I need to get you guys doing what you're doing best, not thinking about what
Yeah,
I'm doing. You do
yeah,
you, right?
totally. He did that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, that's very cool. That's very cool. It sounds like a rewarding experience to work with different producers. Would you say you would work with Congleton again, or are you just trying to like go through and like, I don't know,
Yeah.
experience different things in the studio?
Yeah, I think maybe because the band is so democratic and it's such a different vibe, and we always want each album and era to be so different. I think that might be a reason why we've always worked with a new producer each like time we've gone to make another record, because I've like loved so much working with every producer we've had. So sometimes it's kind of just like, oh, we're making a record, and then that person like maybe we'll check in and they're busy. But I think a part of it is like continued exploration of like, cool, like now we're really interested to try this out. This producer could be cool for that. We kind of always tend to go that way.
Okay. Very cool. I like this democratic band thing. It works. It works. Okay,
It
so
works.
you're
It makes for a lot longer decision-making process, but it does technically eventually work. Yeah.
yeah. Good. Good. So my final question to you or remark is, you're coming to Milwaukee July 5th to play Summerfest, which is super cool. We're all looking forward to it. Do you have any favorite Milwaukee spots or things to do when you come back to the city?
Oh, great question. You know, what comes to mind in Milwaukee? I don't know. I don't know that I think Milwaukee, we've usually played the show and had to go, you know? So I would love some recommendations from you
Yeah.
for somebody
Okay.
who's got 2.5 hours in the city. You know, we always get like find a great spot to go eat and do that. But like what would you recommend for a musician coming through? And you've got like an afternoon.
Yeah, well, we just had Sam Beam of Iron and Wine come in on Friday. He did a session with us
Oh,
and
cool.
he went to our public market for lunch. He said that, some of the best his favorite food has been there in Milwaukee.
Nice.
Also he always visits the bronze Fonz, the statue of the Fonz.
Okay.
Um,
Yep.
so that's another thing. I'd say you can't go wrong with going to the lake. Just like walking along the lake is absolutely wonderful. You have to find cheese curds somewhere, of course, because it's
Okay. Yep.
Wisconsin.
That sounds
Uh,
like maybe good for after the show and not before.
yeah, totally, totally not good for your vocals.
Yeah.
But I think what we should do is put the ask out to our listening audience on social media when we post this interview, and maybe they can hit you up with some suggestions
I
too.
would please send me your recommendations. I would love that. Yeah, that'd be
All right.
amazing. And I've really heard summer like tales of Summerfest that it's like really amazing festival. I'm
It
excited.
is cool.
It's hyped up.
Yeah, it's right by the lake. It's fun. You can hop around all the different stages and see like all kinds of music, all different genres. So you're gonna have a blast.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Taylor. It was really good talking to you again. The new record is called But I'll Wait for You. Just came out on Concord in April, and you're coming to Summerfest on July 5th. We look forward to seeing you then.
Look forward to seeing you then.